Welcome to the NCRS Insider, bringing you into the NCRS world with your host, Steve Thazier.
Hello, everyone. Well, at the 2024 Marlboro Regional Meet, we caught up with the leadership of the NCRS, Mike Ingram and Mark Tully, for an interview. We discussed their current roles, recent changes to the NCRS, and their thoughts on the future of the organization. Let's see what they had to say. Hi, I'm here with Mike Ingram and Mark Tully. They are leadership in the National Corvette Restorer Society. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having us.
So guys, tell us how you became interested in Corvettes and what attracted you to the NCRS.
Happy to do that. My wife and I bought a 1962 Corvette in 1999, and amongst the paraphernalia that came with the car was a set of judging sheets from a chapter judging meet conducted by the Northern California chapter of the NCRS. And I got sort of interested in that, so we did a little research, got interested in the NCRS, joined, and then contacted the chapter chairman of the Northern California chapter and joined the chapter. And we got immediately involved with the chapter, and that's sort of what got us started in the NCRS hobby. And then over time, we worked our way into regional events and conventions, and it's just, been one thing after another since then.
I've always been a car guy. I was very fortunate to work in the automotive business through my teenage years and through college, and I always wanted a Corvette. I had my first pedal car when I was 5 years old. I had my soapbox racer, and on and on and on. My older brother, who's 10 years older than me, was also a car guy. The first thing I ever remember reading was Hot Rod magazine back in the day. So when life and career was in the way, so I didn't get my first Corvette till a little bit later. And a good friend of mine was the Long Island chapter chairman, invited me to come down to an event, and I was hooked. I love the NCRS, and the reason I got more involved with it was not just to look at the pretty cars and judge the pretty cars, but the organization is also part of the education, the preservation, and the history of Corvettes.
Mike, you have been an officer for the NCRS since 2014 and are once again the president. Tell us what duties and responsibilities you have being in that position.
I'm not sure we have time for all of that, but I'll try to give you a thumbnail sketch. Obviously, one of the things that the president, who leads the board, is responsible for is planning future national conventions. So one of the things we do each year is to work with a company called Conference Direct to help us identify potential future venues and then negotiate hotel rates and the convention center rates for us. Picking sites 3 to 4 years out, bringing that information back to the board and getting the board to review and approve those sites. So now we've picked the site for 3 years out, but now we got to move into planning the site that we've chosen for the current year and getting all those ducks in order, which is a months-long exercise in making sure you've got everything lined up for that, all the speakers, all the meals planned. It's just endless trivial detail that you got to be sure you get right. We're constantly reaching out to our chapters to encourage them to think about hosting regional events in future years to be what we call feeder events for future conventions. So we try to get the chapters that are reasonably proximate to future convention sites to take on regional events so that owners in the local areas have events that they can take their cars to get the necessary prerequisites to go on to the convention. Our chapters are required to file various reports each year. Each of the directors on the board is chasing their chapters to make sure all that gets done. We encourage them to get involved with a local charity and donate to that, and then file with the organization for a matching grants proposal. And then, day to day, there are different things that come up that you have to deal with. The phone rings, somebody's got an issue that needs to get resolved, and you spend a lot of time doing that. Each month, Mark and I and all the other directors are chasing a list of members in our regions whose memberships expired at the end of the previous month. So we're chasing them down, communicating with them, calling them, encouraging them to renew. It's a nonstop job, basically.
You have both been involved with the NCRS for quite some time. Mark, what changes have you seen over the years, and are there certain accomplishments that stand out to you?
Well, I've been on the board since 2014, the year Mike became president. And obviously, we've worked very well together over the years. We have 9 regional reps, which Mike and I are also. The main accomplishment, I'd say, is kind of the change of our mission statement, our focus, looking forward. Everybody, obviously we're always looking for new and maybe younger members, and also to get the image change that we're not the nuts and bolts guys that we were, and 2024 is the 50th anniversary of the NCRS. Our convention this year will be our 50th celebration of that accomplishment, and we've been working very hard to get that image out there, that welcoming to all people, all things Corvettes.
Adding the concourse judging has been a big change from the original goals of the NCRS. How is that going, and are there any other changes we might see in the future?
Well, concourse judging was our idea for reaching out to the community of Corvette enthusiasts that we all know are out there, who have personalized their cars in one way or another. So they're not sort of NCRS cars, but they're Corvettes nonetheless. And we developed a system that would just judge them based on appearance. So, what we're looking for is how clever was this owner in personalizing this car and making the changes, whatever they might be, whether it was an engine change or whatever, to make the car look better than what General Motors ever would have built. I think, in retrospect, the name that the board approved, and I sort of blame myself for this, probably not the best name that we could have chosen, because I think it conjures up in people's minds a different image than we intended. It's not Pebble Beach concourse judging. We're not looking for dust. We're not looking for grass in the tire treads. It's just not that. We're looking for, what did this person do to make this car suit their individual needs and desires? So there's that. I think the other aspect is that many of these cars belong to younger folks who still have real jobs and are reluctant to tie these cars up for 3 days at a regional event. So chapter level judging meets are probably the most promising venue for the concourse judging program.
The concourse program is progressing. It has not met all of the goals that we had envisioned for it. We're constantly coming up with ideas to streamline it. As Mike said, that we're only involved with appearance. As I like to tell people, it's a very intense wash and shine type judging that we do. We use the same matrix system that we do for our flight judging, without the originality portion of it. We're dealing strictly with appearance and customization and the changes in the particular vehicle. So there's many ideas and upgrades on the program. Personally, I'd like to see us judge right up to 2024s, include the C8s in that program. Obviously, they're selling 50,000 C8s a year right now, so there's a potential out there of new members. I guess we'll talk about that too, but so that's one of the biggest things that I'd like to see. And we're trying to consolidate the program and streamline it and make it more successful.
The new mid-engine C8 has brought a lot of interest to a much younger generation of car owners. Do you see that generation getting involved with the NCRS, and are things the organization is doing to try and track that generation?
Well, one, let me just say that GM is tracking very closely the age group that is buying new C8s, but just having my observation at NCRS events, there are lots of our more mature members that are also availing themselves of C8s. You walk out into the parking lot and look around, you're going to see lots of them. But yes, we recognize that it is younger folks that are buying these cars for the most part. We are doing some things at the board level to try to improve the way in which we communicate with that group. They are not, by and large, magazine readers, as most of the older NCRS population tends to be. So we are exploring more social media avenues to try to get across what it is NCRS does, what we're all about, and hopefully through that process get the attention of some of these younger C8 owners and really other Corvette enthusiasts that are not familiar with the NCRS. We got lots of work to do in that regard, and the board is spending a lot of time talking about how do we best reach out to these folks to get them interested. I think the idea of including them in the Concourse program, there isn't a reason not to do that I can see. It's just a matter of making those changes in our system so that we can accommodate it.
As Mike said, one of the things that we're trying to do to reach out to the younger generations behind us is get some of our younger members involved. When I was president last year, at some of the meetings, I said that we were looking for some help with Facebook and Instagram and X. We do have Instagram accounts. We do have two Facebook accounts, I believe. And I was very lucky that second generation, 28-year-old young lady who went to college for communications and marketing stepped up right away. I'd love to help. She's now one of the administrators on our social media accounts. One of our regional directors, his daughter, 27, a communications major, she stepped up to help, to give us ideas. I mean, that's the generation that's on this, lives it, uses it. Not necessarily us, that, once in a while we look at the Corvette pictures on them or whatever. So that's one direction that we're taking. And we're trying to do multi-faceted, through podcasts and just try to get the message out there of what we are, who we are, and what we're trying to accomplish. So,
the NCRS is celebrating 50 years in 2024, which is remarkable. What do you see as the future of the NCRS to take the organization through the next 50 years?
Well, I don't know about the next 50 years, but I mean, some of the things that we've been talking about earlier are outreach through social media to try to attract the younger population of Corvette enthusiasts that we know are out there, is aimed at that very thing, is to trying to perpetuate this organization and keep people involved and engaged. I'll give you an example that John always throws up to me, which is the Model A Club of America, which is still going strong, despite the fact these cars are 1 million years old, and yet people keep coming out of the woodwork. So I have to hope and have to believe that Corvette enthusiasts will continue to be attracted to the NCRS. Obviously, while Mark and I are on this board and have responsibility, we're going to be doing our best to try to figure out how to attract new members into this organization, and then that responsibility will fall to the people that succeed us on the board. But It's, you know, they're great cars. There's just no reason to think that there isn't going to be ongoing interest in them.
You know, as you said, this is our 2024 is our 50th anniversary, and we're having a 50th anniversary, our annual conventions to celebrate that milestone, so to speak. One of the things that I'm very pleasantly surprised at and very pleased at, we still have 67 active members that joined in 1974. We're going to be honoring the you know, our long-term members at our convention. One of the things that we've expanded on, and we're working very hard, the NCRS has a charitable foundation that we award scholarships to family members, sons, daughters, grandsons, so to speak. To keep the organization going, obviously, we need to keep the enthusiasm up. And you know, something one of the senior members had told me years ago when I was campaigning my first car is, Mark, a good car is a good car, and Corvettes are good cars. He said, that will never change. And I firmly believe that. You know, when we drive our older cars, the young kids, they see them, they give you a thumbs up as you drive them. People pull up alongside and beat the horns at you, you know, when you're driving a classic Corvette. So I feel very strong about the organization, but obviously, you know, we need to continue our efforts to get the name out there, to keep our membership steady and with potential growth in it, with obviously getting some younger members.
Mike and Mark do a great job in leading the NCRS. Their time and efforts are greatly appreciated and are probably taken for granted. The next time you see them, give them a big thank you for everything they do. See you next time.